Tonight, comedian Tracy Morgan critically injured. A truck driver faces multiple charges in a deadly accident on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh my God.
Benita Nair has the latest on Morgan's condition. The U.S. Navy rescues nearly 300 migrants from overloaded boats in the Mediterranean. Alan Pizzi has that story. And he ain't heavy. See why this 14-year-old is carrying his younger brother on his back for 40 miles.
I really just wanted to do something for him.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. I'm Jim Axelrod, and this is a Western edition of the broadcast. The prosecutor in New Brunswick, New Jersey, is charging a truck driver with one count of death by auto after a crash that has left the comedian Tracy Morgan in critical condition and killed another comic who was traveling with him. Just after 1 o'clock this morning, Morgan was airlifted from the scene of the accident on the New Jersey Turnpike just north of Trenton. He was on his way home from performing when his limo was hit from behind by a tractor-trailer. Benita Nair picks up the story.
Police say a tractor-trailer truck slammed into the back of Morgan's chauffeured limo bus, overturning it and causing a chain reaction that involved 6 vehicles. Comedian James McNair, one of Morgan's writers, was killed. 4 other bus passengers are in critical condition, including Morgan, who was taken by helicopter to a hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey. His publicist released this statement to CBS News. His family is now with him and he is receiving excellent care. We don't anticipate much of a change in his condition today. Morgan was returning from a live performance in Delaware, part of a multi-city stand-up tour. Comedian Artie Fuqua, who was traveling with Morgan, posted this photo of the bus about 30 minutes before the accident. He is also in critical condition. Traveled back to NYC in style in a luxury Mercedes Sprinter. Road life is a good life. Morgan, who began his career doing stand-up on the streets of Brooklyn, is best known for his 7 years on Saturday Night Live and his lead role in the comedy 30 Rock. This past April, he appeared on CBS This Morning to talk about his new comedy tour.
How do you feel up there on the stage by yourself?
I love it. It's exhilarating. You know, there's nothing in the world like live entertainment.
The 45-year-old actor also spoke about his family. He has 3 grown sons from a previous relationship and a 1-year-old daughter with fiancée Megan Wolliver.
That's my baby. That's my girl. She has given me a different perspective on being a dad. So I see things a little bit different. You know, I have a beautiful baby daughter, you know, and I also have a shotgun, a shovel, and an alibi.
Walmart owns a tractor-trailer involved in the accident. In a statement, the company CEO Bill Simon said he is praying for the victims, and if it's determined our truck caused the accident, Walmart will take full responsibility.
Benita, thank you. There is a surge that's been developing in the number of unaccompanied children crossing the border from Mexico into the U.S., and it is creating dire conditions at a makeshift holding center in southern Arizona, where food, water, and medical supplies are now running low. As Jonathan Lowe of our Phoenix station KPHO reports, Arizona's governor is putting the blame squarely on the White House.
Behind this gate of the U.S. Border Patrol in Nogales is a converted warehouse where the children are staying. Today, there are at least 750 of them living here, ranging in age from 3 to 18, all of them alone. These are the photos taken of the kids last night, wrapped in marathon runner-type blankets, sleeping in tubs, and being monitored by DHS Border Patrol agents. They shouldn't be here. Ordinarily, this facility only houses adults who cross the border illegally. But in the last 11 days, the Department of Homeland Security says it's been overwhelmed with a flood of children crossing into the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. 48,000 since October, as many as 200 children a day. Most are from Central America. Krista Pifferer works at Baptist Child and Family Services in San Antonio.
These are really good conditions, certainly better than most of the children have come from, and without question, better than the conditions in which they traveled here from.
DHS says it's trying to fix the problem, but right now has nowhere else to put them. Today, some of the children were en route to facilities still being prepared in California, Texas, and Oklahoma. For those still here, a representative from the Federal Emergency Management Agency arrives and is providing health care. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer says she is disturbed and outraged that the federal government is implementing what she calls a dangerous and inhumane policy. DHS has ordered 2,000 mattresses for a building that's only supposed to hold 1,500 people. Today, the Consul General of El Salvador said the kids are getting showers and appropriate nutrition. Last night, the Department of Justice announced it is looking for young lawyers and paralegals to provide legal assistance to all of the families. As for the children, that El Salvador official says that some of them are beginning to miss their families and get depressed, so Border Patrol agents are creating a play area. Jim?
Jonathan Lowe of our station KPHO. Jonathan, thank you. We're learning more tonight about a dramatic rescue in the Mediterranean Sea made by the U.S. Navy when one of 6 boats full of people trying to flee Africa and get to Europe started to sink off the coast of Italy. 2 U.S. Navy ships made a beeline for all 6 boats. Hundreds were saved, some who had already gone overboard. Here's Alan Pizzi.
Search and rescue helicopters hovered over a disaster in the making. An Italian patrol plane had spotted 6 rickety boats jammed with illegal migrants, one of them sinking. The U.S. Navy ships Baton and Elrod, in the area in case Americans need to escape from Libya, came to the rescue. Thousands of migrants risk the perilous crossing from North Africa to Europe every month, fleeing poverty, war, and in some cases persecution. With no idea who their passengers were or what they might have in mind, the U.S. sailors frisked everyone who came on board. Among those saved were a mother and her baby, a sign of just how desperate people are for a new life. For many, the crossing is just another leg of a journey that has taken months and in some cases years. The checkup on the ship would be the first time many of them have had any medical care. The migrants set sail in unseaworthy boats with virtually no safety equipment. For the final leg of the voyage, they were put on a real boat with a trained crew and given life jackets. Safe at last. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Rome.
Ukraine's new president, Petro Poroshenko, took the oath of office today and offered amnesty to pro-Russian separatists in the east, provided, quote, they don't have blood on their hands. He also vowed to take Crimea back from Russia, but did not say how he would do that. In Winston-Salem, North Carolina today, they gathered for a memorial service in which speakers described how God put a rainbow in the clouds. This is the theme as speakers like Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and Bill Clinton considered the legacy of Maya Angelou, who died last week at the age of 86. Chip Reed has more on the celebration of one life that touched so many others.
When I think about Maya Angelou, I think about the affirming power of her words.
First Lady Michelle Obama said Maya Angelou's writings first inspired her as a young woman.
I was struck by how she celebrated black women's beauty like no one had ever dared to before. And oh, how desperately black girls needed that message.
Angelou's words, she said, still give her strength today.
Through long years on the campaign trail where at times my very womanhood was dissected and questioned, for me, that was the power of Maya Angelou's words. Words so powerful that they carried a little black girl from the south side of Chicago all the way to the White House.
Angelou read one of her poems at Bill Clinton's first inauguration.
You may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny.
She had enough experiences for 5 lifetimes.
Clinton recalled that Angelou was raped as a young child and refused to speak for 5 years.
God loaned her his voice. She had the voice of God, and he decided he wanted it back for a while.
Oprah Winfrey described Angelou as her spiritual queen mother.
She was my anchor, so it's hard to describe to you what it means when your anchor shifts. But I realized this morning I really don't have to put it into words. What I have to do is live it. Because that's what she would want. She would want me, you, us to live her legacy.
A legacy of words, wisdom, and spirit that has inspired millions. Chip Reed, CBS News, Washington.
Later, California's iconic Joshua trees under threat from climate change when the CBS Evening News continues. Even in the desert, there is such a thing as too hot. At Joshua Tree National Park east of Los Angeles, the last decade was the hottest on record. And now, as Danielle Nottingham explains, these stark symbols of the American Southwest are beginning to die off.
Looking like sculptures in the sand, Joshua trees are icons of the Mojave Desert. More than 1 million of them stand under the blazing Southern California sun in Joshua Tree National Park. These trees have survived here because their roots are capable of finding water deep in the desert ground. But there are early indications that rising temperatures and a severe drought have dried out their water source. Josh Hoynes is a park ranger here.
This is one that's probably on its way out.
What would Joshua Tree National Park be without the Joshua trees?
It would just be a very different landscape, a very different feeling.
Scientists like Cameron Barrows now estimate 90% of the trees in this park could dry out and die by the end of the century.
Warmer is bad because it increases evaporation and it's stressful on the plant itself.
Is there any way to reverse what's happening?
If we stopped putting carbon in the atmosphere, that would reverse things. It would take a while.
Barrows' team of researchers have been working for months looking for signs of life and new growth. Any clue that the Joshua tree has a fighting chance in a warmer world. Donna Thomas and her grandson Elijah are volunteer researchers who comb the landscape.
To think that a couple of generations from now, it might not be quite so beautiful, makes me also want to contribute to do as much as I can to protect what's here.
But scientists do have hope. New trees are growing at higher elevations in cooler temperatures, and that could mean they're adapting to climate change.
This is excellent. We're very excited to find the reproduction that we're finding here.
While there is great excitement for each new tree found, there's also a reality. The young trees grow only a few inches a year, not fast enough to outpace those lost. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Joshua Tree National Park.
Up next, the tale of two brothers on a long walk for a very good cause. There's a couple of brothers we want to tell you about tonight. They're from Michigan, 14 and 7 years old, and they're in the middle of reminding us all about the power of sharing a load. At the age of 14, Hunter Gandy has been giving his younger brother Braden a lift for years.
I was 6, so I was old enough when he was born to know about cerebral palsy. I knew that he would have difficulty walking and may never be able to do it on his own.
A lift is one thing, but what Hunter is doing for Braden this weekend is so much more than that. CP is a disorder resulting from brain damage that affects roughly 750,000 Americans. Hunter wants to raise awareness about CP and is in the middle of carrying Braden 40 miles on his back from their hometown of Temperance, Michigan, to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
I think it's going to be great. It's going to be hard for me and Hunter, but I think we can do it.
Hunter hopes to encourage new ideas to help people with CP. In particular, a way to make it easier for people like Braden to get around.
He has trouble just going through grass, gravel, mulch, snow, sand. I mean, we're hoping to get something more all-terrain.
They got a rousing send-off at the start this morning, joined by about 50 friends and relatives for the first part of their walk. Hunter and Braden made it 3 miles before making their first rest stop.
Feeling pretty good.
At mile 6, they paused to stretch. Hunter may be carrying Braden, but Braden is lifting Hunter as well, in his own way.
Whenever I'm going through something that's difficult and doing something that's hard, I see him and how he worked through it, and just kind of pushes me through.
Hunter and Braden are set to arrive at the University of Michigan tomorrow afternoon. Since polar bears don't like human company, studying them in the wild can be a bit of a challenge, unless, of course, you put them in charge. These are the first pictures ever taken from a camera attached to a polar bear. The female had been caught and released back into the wild. Scientists at the U.S. Geological Survey hope the footage will help them understand how climate change is affecting the bears. Still ahead, the first woman to make Belmont's call to the post. In just a minute, we'll know whether today's Belmont Stakes sees an historic finish. And as Lee Cowan shows us, a woman who's already made racing history was there for the start.
When it comes to horse racing, there's no instrument that trumpets the pageantry of it all quite like the bugle. Sam the Bugler Grossman has been sounding the call to post at Belmont Park for the last 22 years. But it's not only the potential of a triple crown that makes tonight's race special, it's who will be bugling beside him.
She's just perfect. She's great with people. She plays the horn great. She looks great. And I have challenged her to be always fabulous.
Her name is Beth Ann Dixon. Not only an accomplished musician, but an accomplished horsewoman, too.
I mean, I'm so comfortable in breeches and a riding jacket because of fox hunting. It feels like it was destined.
She grew up playing the trombone, sort of the bugle's cousin, a few times removed.
It was a loud instrument. I was a pretty quiet kid, and it allowed me to have a louder voice.
But as much as she loved horses and horse racing, she never put her lips to a bugle until last year.
On paper, it doesn't look complex. Playing it and tonguing the notes and making it come out exactly spot on, that takes a technique and a skill, and I'm honing that skill.
Beth Ann became the first woman bugler to blast the call to post at the Preakness a few weeks back, and tonight she'll do it again. With a triple crown at stake, California Chrome isn't the only one feeling the pressure.
I'm just going to breathe and not choke. Really focus and think on, I don't want to blow that note wrong. This is too important. It's heavy. It's a bit heavy.
While fans held their breath, Beth Ann blasted hers. Her twin passions of horses and music, neck and neck. Lee Cowan, CBS News, New York.
And this update, California Chrome faded in the stretch and did not win the Triple Crown. And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. Later on CBS, 48 Hours. For everyone here at CBS News, I'm Jim Axelrod in New York. Thanks for joining us, and good night.